Welcome to Grave Reloaded. We've had keynotes now from CES, or at least AMD's, and we're going to focus on that. We've seen some other press releases from other companies so far, getting some products announced. But with AMD CES keynote, we're going to start off with the CPU side. Now, if you're interested in AMD's GPUs, that's going to be later on because AMD decided not to throw that in the keynote. I didn't know if I want to start with something outside the keynote or into the keynote. I don't know where to start there. So I'm just going with what the keynote had, and we're starting from there. So the 950 X3D chip is announced. There's no release date or pricing. It seems like it'll be out fairly soon since they're announcing it. They claim that this is going to be the best 16-core gaming processor uh, out there, and it's supposed to be also very well for productivity as well. So this is going to be a great combination for those that want to do productivity work. Let's say content creation, let's say, software development, something that's maybe a little bit more paralyzed than just strictly gaming. If you're gaming and just doing gaming, the 9800 X3D is the processor that I would still recommend. But for those that want to do that content creation, for me, I'm, creating videos, or also do software development there. The 16 core is much more attractive from what I want to do with it, and this is AMD kind of delivering that X3D stuff for it. We don't know how all the X3D and everything is laid out, how the drivers and everything are working for core parking. I still hope at some point they get this fixed and stop the core parking. I really think that's not, in the long run, that's not going to be a great support trying to keep up with all that, but we'll see how that all is ironed out. They also announced the 9900 X3D, so you have that 12-core chip. If you're buying these 12-core chips, let me know what you're using it for and why you're choosing that over like the 16-core or just going with the 8-core. It's interesting there to watch the pricing of the 12-core and how it seems to sync a lot closer to the 8-core than stay right in the middle between the 16 and the 8-core. So I'm just more interested in get some more information of who that is really going out and buying that. I've had a friend, we had a 12 core in his system at one point. Now he has the X3D chips because he does strictly gaming, and he's getting much better, performance, but with the X3D chips. But just sticking with the 8-core without having that extra, 4 cores and the extra CCD latency across it. So just really more curious if you're in that lineup, or if you're looking for a PC with that, why? Then they announced the HX3D chips for mobile. I'm just going to leave it there. So X3D is coming to mobile. Then we're going to go through this, and I'm going to try to make my way through this. This naming scheme is horrible, AMD. Horrible. Horrible. Just so you know, AMD, your mobile naming scheme is like pissing in the wind and hoping you don't get wet. That's how good it is right now. It doesn't work. So I don't know who talked you into this, but it's bad. So they're coming out with Ryzen. So that the HX3Ds, right? That's out there. Then they're going to have the Ryzen 5s and the Ryzen 7s, 300 AI parts. So you got these 350s and chips that are going to be coming out. So here you go. And then on top of it all, you have an AI Max that's going to be coming out as well. Now this is actually an interesting chip. It's going to be 40 CUs, 16 cores, and then 50 tops of their AI processing. So it's going to be a pretty powerful chip. I'm interested to see what these devices are going into, and I actually have a few uses that people would be interested in for something like this, for their business work that they do. So this AI Max chip is actually really interesting, and something I am very curious about to see how well it performs. You got the 16 Zen cores on there. You also got that XAI chip for all your AI processing for those out there that are doing that, and then the 40 CUs on there to make this a pretty powerful laptop chip, all in one chip. right? I would say there should be no GPU on this. This is, you're just buying one APU. This is going to be the laptop. See what benefits PC makers can actually get out of this chip is going to be something I'm looking forward to. And if you are going to use another um, additional GPU, you're going to want something way more powerful than that to be added on. And this could be something, really interesting. But I don't, for this, the AI Max, I would just use it as one chip, and that's going to be my PC. So they had different PC makers up all talking about these AI chips and going on and on and on about stuff, which is fine. The interesting one in all of this, though, was Dell was on stage with AMD, and we know how allergic Dell has been to AMD chips, only picking one here and there. Is Dell's lineup going to be more full of feature with Intel falling on its face as of late? Is going to be something to watch for here in 2025, because that would be the first telltale sign that Dell is kind of opening up the floodgates to just sell more PCs to whoever provides a good chip to put in their products, rather than just being blinded by everyone else but Intel. So that's something I, took away from there. There's also security stuff, talking about the different security layers, again, trying to sell AI and Windows 11. It seems like those two were kind of just need to upgrade this because it's better. We could talk about that in a different video. And they didn't have any GPU announcement. Now, I did like how fast the CES announcement was. AMD went through it. Of course, I was more interested in the desktop. I stayed for the laptop, and the security stuff, fine. I get it. You're trying to push it. There's security issues. There's always going to be security issues. Trying to prevent security issues is going to be a tough thing. In fact, I'd actually like it if you took some of the AI stuff you're talking about and everything that I hope will come one day with AI, and actually throw it into using at some of the security stuff of how it can help monitor and keep your PC secure. I think that would be a really good, cool thing that people talk about, but that's not here yet. Now, RDNA 4, right? We're all looking for one, we want that CPU, and then we want that GPU for gaming. We're not going to see AMD go after the 5090, 5080 in this next generation. There's slides out there from that AMD gave out to the media with Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus. So watch some videos from there showing where they think the 5080 outline is going to go versus the 40 lineup, 40 series lineup, and the 70 series 7000 series lineup from AMD. Then you have the 9000 series lineup. AMD in their slides with Gamers Nexus was talking about it. Hardware Unboxed was like, this is the reason why they're saying the naming is changing. And I'm not fully upset at the naming, and if you've watched this channel long enough, you know that I have been upset at naming. In this video, I've even commented on their mobile naming scheme. But if they're trying to start the lineup and say we're comparing with NVIDIA's chips with their 70 class, 50 class, that's fine. I actually think their naming scheme of them putting it to be the same series as their CPUs is, is okay. I don't think it's great, but the putting it to like 9070 and 9060 at least has some differentiation then to be different enough to be like the 9800X3D, 9600, so you don't have the GPU the exact same name uh, as the CPU. I think is going to help people not be so confused if they, type that into a search engine and you're going, I'm looking for the 9800 or 9600. Well, is that the X is in the CPU, or is that the XT is in the GPU, or is, or is that just the 9600 as in the GPU? Like, what are we doing here? So hopefully that'll be a little bit clearer for like 90. They actually had on one of the slides that Hardware Box and Gamers Extra shows a 9600 or 9060 XT and oh man, it's gonna take me a while. 9070 XT and 9070 and 9060 and XT and 9060. So those are the kind of the two that they had there. Uh, and they just had a whole bunch of descriptive words of how the GPUs are going to be able to perform. Okay. Why there wasn't anything in the CES keynote, that leaves to much be determined. Is AMD just going to, screw over gamers and just be like, NVIDIA released it here, we think ours are here, and we're just going to give you a slight discount? Or is AMD going to respond correctly? And they really need to do this. They're kind of flailing in the wind in their GPU division right now. They just need to come out and say, you know what? NVIDIA is going to come out with their prices and where they're laying this. We're going to come in aggressively against their prices and be $150 cheaper for the same performance, $200 cheaper. And we're going to see where this sits after, a year after the life cycle of these GPUs, as we prepare our next lineup for that to really kind of tackle everything across the board. And I think if AMD were to do that and have, product performance and pricing to be right, instead of just be, we're just a step down from NVIDIA where we are, and actually be aggressive, and do this. It doesn't matter about the name, it doesn't matter about any of that. It matters about where that product performance is. And to be successful, you got to have a right price. You, you might be able to have something. I think Intel tried to do that with the B550, and they had a lot of traction here. And then all of a sudden, these cards are going up in price where it doesn't make sense. And if AMD can come in with a good price, still have some margin, maybe it won't be as much as you wanted it to be or as much as NVIDIA can get, but you're not there yet. You have to start building your market share up slowly because you proved you can't do anything else. And so you have to just start slowly getting traction again and stop messing with your GPUs because you think you're NVIDIA. You're not. And if you want to be part of this AI life cycle, you're going to have to get your GPUs into users' hands. People are going to use them at home, then going to use them in the office, and then be able to use them in data centers, right? There's got to be a progression here, and either AMD does not see this, and they cannot figure it out, or they're just missing the boat and just hoping somebody's going to gravitate to it by luck, which is not a good business strategy. So they also have FSR 4, and that's going to be RDNA 4 only. It's going to be interesting. I haven't used FSR 3 or DLSS or anything like that. I'm still, like a lot of native rendering. I guess I've turned it on. I've tried it once or twice here and there. It's just, I still like to render natively a lot of times. It's just, I enjoy that better. And having something here with machine learning, so there's going to be some machine learning stuff on the RDNA 4 card, could be something where FSR4 can really take on, where DLSS has been still entrenched as being better. Maybe AMD can make some headways with FSR4, and we'll see where that gets to. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of testing out there. If I get an FSR4 card or RDNA4 card, I might be able to test that as well to see the differences in performance and see how well it runs based upon non-FSR4 stuff. Hopefully we'll see some of that data as well. I think that's data here to see where we're at and see how FSR has improved and where AMD's going with it is going to be crucial to see how the traction is going forward. Also, it's got to be in games, because if it's going to be RDNA 4 only and it does not get in games, this is going to be something that is going to die, because if it takes 2 to 3 years to get into games, we're on to another generation of cards. And is that FSR 5 then? Is that what's going to go on then? So hopefully this is out there in games pretty quick. One other thing to mention is the Z2 handheld chips. These are, the Z1 is in some of the handhelds. I think it's in the Steam Deck and some other ones. And the Z2, there's going to be the Z2 Extreme, Z2, and the Z2 Go. You get 3 different levels. It's going to be interesting to see how many handhelds they get into. These handhelds are really, kind of taking off and competing with themselves. And you're able to see Nintendo still sell a whole bunch of theirs. Does this, even compete with Nintendo? I don't really know. Nintendo's kind of their own beast. They're able to, have their own games, right? Their own stuff, so they can sell all their stuff. But how does this be able to take the next step? Do we get a lot more handhelds? And does this help, people or these companies do an upgraded handheld that thing they can then sell. We'll see how many people that currently have a handheld upgrade, and then how many more does that help get into the market to grow that, overall TAM for these. That's what I'm kind of interested in, because there's different phases, right? We know people are interested. We know people use these things. Now, will they continue to use it, continue to upgrade, and will that grow that ecosystem that people want? I'm still really interested in a handheld. I've, just held one and used it, temporarily. I've not owned one to really use it over a period of time. But these are things that I think about for that Z2 handheld and what it could be. So with that, here's a quick rundown of the CES and now the keynote from AMD, and then the other announcements that were just kind of on paper, kind of just telling everyone, hey, they're coming. They're coming, just to let you know. Nudge, nudge, nudge. So we'll see. But yeah, AMD's naming scheme, if we go back to mobile right now, bless their heart. It's pretty bad. I don't know who thought of that at AMD, but that should be your last decision you ever make for any company, because work on something else. Naming is not your key thing here. But with that, let me know your thoughts on the whole CES announcement from AMD. I mean, a lot of people in the feed were hoping for GPU stuff, and AMD did not seem to come ready to announce anything like that. So it was kind of weird. With that, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to watch Grow and help this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, as it really does help with the channel. Until next time, God bless.